Hi and welcome to this video blog with me, Wayne, from SwimCycleRunCoach. Well, I've had my 2-week break, I'm fully rested and I'm back both blogging and training for triathlon. This week it'll be a fairly short blog about something that's common to a lot of triathletes who come to triathlon as adults. And that is with swimming, where everybody, it's unquestionable, everybody knows as an adult that if they put their head into the water they can't breathe, and so it sets up one particular problem that I think is extremely common, and that is the pushing down in the water to get the head out, which misaligns the position of the body, which should be flat in the water, pushes the head up, pushes the body down and the back end down. Either that happens or we get a kink in the body. So that completely increases drag as well as anything else. So we're going to go to the computer, have a look at it there, it'll be fairly short, and then we'll come back and have another chat.
Okay, we're going to take a look at Dermot here, who looks at this point fairly balanced in the water. His head is in line with his spine, which is fairly straight in the water, and his hips are close to the surface. Got a little bit of something happening at the back, with his legs swaying, but that is because of something else. So we've got a fairly balanced person there. We'll just run it forward until he's about to breathe. Now you can see what happens to Dermot as he thinks of breathing. Firstly, his arm's coming forward, and as that arm comes forward, he becomes very hand-centric. His hand has overtaken his elbow well before it gets to the shoulder, and so he's rushing his hand forward as opposed to bringing his arm forward from the upper arm. He's actually leading it from the hand and the lower arm. And as that comes forward, which always does with people who are fairly hand-centric, that's a term that I've coined, and if you hear it anyone else, it's from me. Okay, and as he comes right the way to the front, you can see he's dropped his elbow, and his hand is actually above his elbow at that point. His hand's out the water, his elbow's in the water. And we don't really want that in swimming, but another thing tends to happen because Dermot is thinking of pulling his head out the water. And you see he's already starting to raise his head as soon as his hand gets in the water. Now, we shouldn't be thinking of breathing until the other arm gets past the hip into the thigh. But Dermot's already thinking of breathing. You can see he's raised his head, he's got a lot of tension in the neck and across the shoulders, and is starting to curve his spine. And then he starts breathing very early. See, his hand is just coming past his chest, or his arm is just coming past his chest. He's curved his whole spine to raise his head out the water. You can easily see that. Part of that is he's trying to push down at the front there to get his head out. See that really pushing down. Run that forward a bit. We come into the next breath. You can see he's starting to raise his head out the water very early. You see all this tension in the back of the neck because he's thinking of breathing all the time. Huge exhalation of air, huge inhalation of air. You can see that. I'll just run this through. You see his legs are drooping behind him, and there he goes again, lifting his head out of the water. Compare that, if you will, to Jackie, who is a smooth swimmer. She's a longer distance triathlete. You can see every time she rotates to breathe, her hips actually broach the water. If we stop it there, just go. There you go. She turns to the side, her hips broach the water. She's breathing every 2, so she'll turn to breathe this time. And again, her hip is actually out the water. She's breathing much later in the stroke. And there she's turned to breathe as her hand exits. I still think that could be delayed slightly more, but her other hand, her leading hand, is on the surface and hasn't moved. And now you can see she's developing the catch. Developing the catch as that comes past. If we just run this to the end, you'll see a very smooth stroke that we need to improve in speed, but we don't have to improve in alignment at all. And that's the difference between the two.
So we've had a look at Dermot and Jackie, and hopefully you've seen that by lifting the head out of the water, you naturally lower the back end of your swimming, and that's no good for you. And it tends to happen through that movement. Instead of going in the water, grabbing the water, the elbow drops, and as soon as the elbow drops, you have to be pushing your head out the water. Yeah? So try not to do that when you're swimming. Practice that this week. Have a look on the website. There's some free session plans, and you can try the swimming session plans, which will have in it drills to try and stop doing that particular movement. Anyway, have a good week. I'll see you next week.